Hey guys, it's Matt Wenning at WenningStrength.com, and today we're going to talk about a really popular topic, and that's key tips for getting bigger. So we're going to go over training to grow, eating, and sleeping. So let's get to it.
Lately I've been living like I can't take a loss. They ain't wanna help me, that's what made me a boss. You can't kill my confidence, I think I'm the man. We don't give a f, that's what they don't understand. I'm back again like flu season. I broke records while loose leafing. I'm coming down my roof, leaving. Don't give a f, I don't care. Did the by my lonesome. No wonder now I'm on one. No shortcuts on that long run. All I really want is my share.
I would say that probably at least 75% of the people watching these videos on YouTube are looking for a way to get a little bit bigger. Now we're talking about bigger and not necessarily stronger, right? If bigger was stronger, then the top bodybuilders in the world would be the strongest guys in the world. But in reality, that's not the case. There's a lot of factors in strength. There's also a lot of factors in getting big. So let's get to it and talk a little bit about it. 1A, you have to train to grow. What does that mean? That means if you're only doing like say 2 sets of 10 or 1 set of 15, you're not going to put enough volume on the body to sustain any type of hypertrophy unless you are a very, very beginner novice type lifter. This means that as our goals change and enhance, so must our volume change. Now, there has been some studies and research that shows that at minimum, if you want muscle hypertrophy, just in the maintenance phase, you need 10 sets per week of each muscle group. Now, if you were to train a muscle group, say triceps, every 72 hours, which would be about twice a week, then what you would find is that would be about 5 sets of triceps per day that you train. This is just to maintain muscle size. Some people have been, like Flex Wheeler, Stan Efferding, and a lot of other great bodybuilders have done upwards of 15, 20, and even 30 sets per body part per week. That's a lot of work. But if you want 20-inch arms or 30-inch legs, then that might be what you need to do. The hardest part with this and training to grow is that everybody's a little different. Why? Well, let's look at a couple of key factors. 1, what's your GPP? So if you don't have high physical capacity, then your ability to recover, as we know, will not be as beneficial for putting on key quality muscle tissue. This means that at the end of the day, you have to be fit enough to get that much volume in and be able to retain and recover from that particular beatdown of muscle contraction. The other thing that's training to grow is you need to have intensity. Muscles tend to grow with a little bit more intensity. Now, there is an optimal intensity range, but what is that? That's a pretty interesting question. The answer is it's individual. Most of us have a different makeup of what type of muscle tissue that we have. We could be more type 1, type 2, or a hybrid of one of those two in various amounts. There were Chinese studies that were coming out in the mid-2000s, right before I graduated grad school, that were there were up to 30 variations of hybrid fibers. This makes it very complex. For instance, Ronnie Coleman trained insanely heavy to put on quality muscle mass. Lots and lots of heavy doubles, triples, things that were pretty low volume but insanely high weight. Whereas we look at a guy like Jay Cutler, which would be a similar muscle mass, never went insanely heavy but did more volume. What this means is that possibly Jay Cutler might be a little bit more type 1 fiber and Ronnie Coleman might be a little bit more type 2 fiber. So what does this all mean? This means that everybody responds to different training stimuluses in a different fashion. And this is a lot due to the muscle makeup that you cannot change because it's genetic. The next thing that we need to realize, and a lot of people don't understand, is that you have to eat to match your training. What this means is that when you're eating, you need to be in a caloric surplus to get bigger. I don't give a shit what any guru tells you on YouTube or Instagram. It's really, really hard to be in a caloric deficit and not put on quality size. The problem is that yes, you can find out to the caloric calorie what you need in order to put on muscle mass and lose body fat at the same time. The problem is most of us are not going to go to that scientific approach where we're breaking down per calorie. A lot of times I see that guys fail on this because they have what we call flexible dieting.
I wonder how long it's going to take him to push through. The suspense is terrible.
He's gonna go this time.
I hope it'll last.
And they're eating kind of within reason whatever they want and think that they're counting their calories. Trust me when I tell you that eating the same thing all the time is a huge proponent to putting on quality mass, because it's easier to measure and it's easier to dictate and it's easier to trial and error. So, for instance, I eat a lot of beef and rice. Actually, about 97% of my diet is beef and rice for breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snacks. This means that I can watch my body change either positively or negatively depending on the amount of which I'm eating, because I'm eating the same thing all the time. The problem is if you're doing pizza and cheeseburgers and protein shakes from different brands and all this other stuff, it's really hard to count those calories and get it dialed in. One. Two, you may not be getting enough protein, fats, and carbohydrates, and more importantly, at the right time in order for you to put on the quality mass that you want. I highly suggest you get on WenningStrength.com and check out our nutrition manual for help on how many calories you need to be in a surplus in order for you to be stronger, or bigger. The next thing that you guys need to really, really focus on is that you actually grow when you're recovering and sleeping. If most people watching this video put just as much time, effort, and energy into the quality of their sleep, they probably wouldn't need energy drinks, they probably wouldn't need pre-workouts, and they would probably see massive amounts of growth in their training. The point is that for a lot of us, we put all of our emphasis on how many reps did we do on squats and how many sets did we do on bench press. In reality, those things are important, but sleep is when you're actually growing. Recovering is when you're actually growing. And are you putting that mindset into those particular factors to make sure that you're getting super strong and super big, which is this video. Now, if you need any help, go on to WenningStrength.com, take a look at some of our manuals that are specifically designed for this area, including the nutrition manual, and you'll see that we put a lot of time and effort into making sure we optimize how many sets, reps, and contraction types that we're doing in order to get this particular goal in mind. My personal opinion is if I was trying to get bigger, I would be focusing on the hypertrophy and power building manual. Talk to you guys later.
Lately I've been living like I can't take a loss.